in our language. So that name, use it as an insult. So they said like, oh, that girl is Asmari's daughter. She's Asmari. Like everyone, like I was so ashamed of it. But I take that shame as a pride and I'm Asmari's daughter. So that changed my life and everything because I stay true to myself. I don't change myself for anyone. So, but now, like everyone, most of Asmari's son and daughter are so proud themselves to call their name so that they're Asmari's son and daughter. So being authentic, being real, staying true to yourself, and as she said, like you are you, I am me, and then we can combine together, and then we can unite it and do something real. I think that's what I think.
Can I just add, because, yeah,
Thank you.
pick up yourself. I can just also add that, I mean, even in the Caribbean, we see the gap of collaboration between artists, producers, investors, all these things. There is a gap still within the region. So there's a lot of opportunity to strengthen the Caribbean as much as we want to bridge the gap between Africa and the Caribbean. But yeah, it's all about collaboration at the end of the day.
Great. So what I'm hearing is basically own who you are. You know, do not be ashamed of, I mean, whatever the impression might be. But once you take that ownership of this is me, I'm unapologetically me, and
Yeah.
people will kind of fall in love with you just
And once you
for
feel
that.
like you're sharing, once you feel like there's a platform, an opportunity for you to expand, because you're saying like, what if somebody else doesn't want to share their shine or their, you know, or they get lost, their identity get lost. You have to know what you want and understand that you're going to be exposing yourself to a whole new audience. And there's a diaspora. There's just space for everyone. So
And then people all around the world want a real thing. Like you don't have to fake anything. Everyone wants to see a real. They don't want to see copy,
'Cause there's
right?
a lot of fake now. Right? Okay. Well, I hope, the thing is, you being who you are, even explaining yourselves, I'm watching everybody's reaction and they're smiling because you are being who you are. So, I mean, that's, I guess that I would say that's like a message to those who are trying to collaborate, who are worried about being themselves, because I do see the danger of people seeing money and starting to lose their own identity, where their sound doesn't sound like who they were before, and they're changing because, oh, I'm signed under a new management and I'm becoming, don't smile, don't
that
mention
happens.
anything.
No, it's a strong, like,
Yes, it happens.
you have to.
So, and what I've noticed is those people actually don't become as popular as they used to be because they've fallen into that space. Steve, do you have any input on this?
Me, I just think that art and culture is dynamic, and that your art grows the more you learn and know about others. So, in the way that you would hear Burna Boy in Ethiopia, right? If we're looking to promote that oneness, we should also be able to expose the Burna Boy of Ethiopia to Nigerians, right? So that not just the Nigerian artists, but just the Nigerian populace can have a more eclectic taste and appreciate more what is happening. So I'll give you an example. Japanese anime, right? We have a lot of young people who, really are into anime now. Why? Because they were exposed to it. In the same vein, Korean movies are all over the place right now. You find people binging their series and the rest. Again, because they were exposed to it. If we had sat on our own and closed that world, we won't know about them as much as we do for the people who follow them. In the same way, I think we have to be deliberate about exposing what is happening from the rest of, the black world to our audiences in the different countries that we constitute.
Right. So basically, as much as we are trying to be who we are, we're also learning
You have to
other
make room.
people
Yeah,
and make room for them. That's collaboration.
that's collaboration.
There we go.
But it's also how you expose, you know, works, because she's talking about her music. She's talking about her music. I've never heard, right? But if you create the opportunity for me to hear, if you create the opportunity for other Nigerian artists to hear, you could birth collaborations between her and some Nigerian artists. And, in the same way, because they are now exposed to one another. And that's not going to happen in a vacuum. It has to be intentional and deliberate.
So now that's segueing into the conversation of distribution.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So-
collaboration could also look like building that infrastructure. We may, in the Caribbean, may need more access to better studios, A&R development, things that Afrobeat and the African community or music industry has, been is further along in, So there is opportunity to support that growth in that region. So it's not just like the musical collaboration and songwriting. It's about building that, like opening that door for distribution, for joint ventures, partnerships, labels, things like that.
Great. And I think over time, what we're going to be doing is to be encouraging people of different spaces to actually take an interest in spaces like this. So basically, I guess I'll be speaking out to everybody out there, like countries or cultures, like in the Caribbean, in East Africa, even in West Africa, we're still open to collaborations in terms of studios, like world-class studios or what we consider world-class studios, new innovations surrounding these spaces, film, music, even arts and culture, like our clothes.
And fashion. Yep.
Fashion, thank you. So now, I think that also now goes into what does getting a financial partnership, what does that look like in terms of distribution, in terms of production? I know, Steve, I've heard you talk a bit about it in the first session. I would like to hear what you have to say a bit more on that, on what that truly looks like. Maybe what models have worked for you as well and what hasn't worked for you.
The architecture of distribution of art is complex, and it can be exploitative. But on the whole, you can be too good to be ignored. So, first thing first is talent development that puts out product that is world class. So I take on board your talk about, the studio facilities, the distribution infrastructure that makes it possible. So first is, how do we grow the production base? So we're talking about investment in studios. We're talking about investment in A&R, talking about investments in the record labels that will handle all of that. But once that is done and you deepen the understanding, because the global infrastructure is open to you, because distribution has been democratized to that level. You can choose to go on Spotify, Apple Music, or the rest of them. You can choose as a filmmaker to go on Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and again. But you can also choose a self-distribution path, all of which are open to you. So that is not a restriction in itself. It's an understanding of how to use those things to push what you have that is required. So deepening that knowledge, right? But also the fact that when you've done all of that, what you have created must speak for itself. It must compete at a level that, does not require, empathy to support. You just have to support it because it is that good. So we have to create both the talent, that can do that and present the opportunities and infrastructure that allows them to create that.
Make it a business decision.
It has to be a very strong business decision. But also, we have to then, I still come back to this, deliberately promote each other in each other's zones. So she makes music from Grenada and it's promoted in Nigeria. Suddenly, the population that she's open to expands powerfully, right? You make music in Nigeria, it's picked from around the world, but when it goes to Grenada, you're adding the reach and footprint of what you've produced. And so if we all come together in the support and understanding and appreciation of what we all put together, I think that you take care of all of those distribution elements. We do not need to reinvent the wheel because the things are existent. What we need to do is understand how to use them and create products that would jump out and stand out when you put them on those platforms.
I think we are already connected culturally. The next step is to create something together. For example, giving opportunities for upcoming artists. For example, I'm sure nobody knows me, but like I am the famous artist in my country. But I need to get that opportunity exactly. So for some of the artists, well-known international artists, of course from Africa and Caribbean as well, they need to give us the opportunity, as I said. At the same time, it's not about getting immediate return. It's not about personal gain. It's about like connecting each other and giving opportunities and support of the creatives for the artists as well. So I think we need to get those opportunities. Thank you.
I think I started by using what I have, using the resources that you have, not being limited by being from a small island and wanting to have international success. And just staying inspired. Listen, this music, like you said, is complex, or the creative industry. It's very high risk, high reward, or high risk, no reward. And most of the times you walk away with so much losses and trauma. But as far as the investments and things go, it does take creating a product, like you said, that is of a certain quality, having the brand strategies, having the rollout strategies that gets you recognized, and it's like doing a showcase for anything that you want to get an investor for. You know, you put yourself out and you show yourself and you show your product. So that's how I've been, trying to develop and gain sponsors and investors, is by putting myself on different stages, taking that risks that a lot of people don't know about. Like, I have big stories to tell, but definitely you have to believe in yourself so that when people come on board, they believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And that's the kind of energy that you want to have. That's the kind of energy you want to attract. So believe in yourself first and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm loving the energy, really. Um, oh dear. Okay, so I feel like if I actually had like a list of questions, but it feels like everything I wanted to ask has kind of all been like boiled up into, the entire flow of conversation. So it's really been great. We don't have too much time, but I'll still maybe ask just one more question. Like, say in the next 5 years, after this summit is over, after we've heard each other speak, maybe just a few seconds, what would you like to see?
Okay, I would speak more not just for myself, but for the industry. I would charge I would charge Aisha, for example, that in the next editions of this, more of, I know that a lot of the business end of things, has the sort of intersection that is required at the level of the arts and culture, that maybe more people, more artists from the different places are brought as part of this, and a deliberate sort of engagement that is on the sidelines of this for them amongst each other, be something that is promoted as part of, what this is. That you engage deeper with, labels like Chocolate City, like Mohits, Maven, and production companies like Natives and the rest of them, to create sort of just an exchange where ideas are shared and opportunities are discussed. Because I think that at the root of everything is training is very important. And just that training, sharing of ideas and understanding the challenges and addressing them based on what you have done that has worked, what they have done that has worked, and how you can put these things together. So a more deliberate bringing together of the arts community in a discussion that is at the sidelines of this is something that I would like to see. And maybe out of that we can birth more collaborations and things that will promote, the arts.
Okay. Okay. So I am on a mission to continue being self empowered and to inspire generations beyond me. And on this unique journey, I just want to keep connecting with kindred spirits and creating beautiful things. And I hope that their transatlantic movement broadens, and that the scope and development of the creative industry just, excels education wise when it comes to the music business, when it comes to exporting of Caribbean or African music and all that stuff. I hope that in the next 5 years things can just feel more fluid, and I hope that in the next 5 years I'm more lucrative and creating residual income.
Okay. Okay. So, let me try to share you my experience. So, as I told you, I am the most followed artist in Ethiopia because I want to share. Yes. So, what happened is we Ethiopians, like, we are so strict in our culture, traditional, and then it's um, like we Ethiopian people.
You have something in English?
So she's going to put us through and teach us a new song. Are you ready to learn a new song? Please can you put your hands together for our artist? So we're going to start with Chloe. Yes. Please, media team, can we quickly take a picture before we get our song? Please, Miss Aisha Mina, can you join us? Are we back? 1, 2. Thank God. All right. Media team. I must commend our moderator for holding it down when the power went out. Please, can you put your hands together for her? She improvised in more ways than I could have ever done. Well done, KK. While the panel was going on, I actually took to Instagram to look up our songwriters and our artists, and it would shock you what great work they're doing. So when we have panels like this and you hear of someone that is either an artist, remember we're here for networking as well. It would be great to look them up and see the great work that they're doing. So big smiles, everyone. Thank you. So the non-performers can step down.
You stay with me. You stay with me.
Our ladies, the stage is yours.
All right. So my music is it's uniquely fused with like Caribbean pop, right? That dancehall, pop, neo soul kind of sound. This song is called "Can't Take This From Me," so it's easy. I'm just gonna give you a line or two. It goes. Can't take this from me, can't take this from me. Oh no, can't take this from. So you just go, can't take this from me, can't take this from me. Oh, you can't take this from me, can't take this from me, can't take this from me. Oh no, you can't tell somebody, can't take this from me, can't take this from me. Oh no. So the verse is like, manifesting glory.
signing ceremony between the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and Aquarian Council, the conveners of the Afri Caribbean Investment Summit. You'll all agree with me that this partnership is rooted in a shared vision to deepen cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean, unlocking new pathways for investment, trade, and cultural exchange. It also reflects a growing commitment by the Caribbean nations to actively engage with Africa, not just as a historical partner, but also as a strategic economic ally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, St. Kitts and Nevis, known for its progressive outlook and strong global partnerships, continues to position itself as a gateway for Afro-Caribbean collaboration, particularly in the areas such as tourism, creative industries, sustainable development, and international trade. On the other hand, Aquarian Consult has been instrumental in creating a platform that brings together governments, investors, and innovators, fostering meaningful dialogue and translating vision into tangible outcomes. So today's signing ceremony, therefore, symbolizes more than an agreement. It marks the strengthening of a transatlantic bond and corridor and a commitment to shared prosperity and a bold step towards a unified Afri-Caribbean future. May I have the very rare privilege of inviting the representative of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, sitting here with us, the Honorable Minister for Creative Economy of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Samuel Duggins. And, of course, on the other hand, our very dear Amazon quintessential, Miss Aisha Mena. Please a round of applause for them as they come up. We'd also like to invite Steve Gukes to please join this team for the signage. There's a round of applause for them for the signing. I can hear that applause. We can do better with a round of applause.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually my extreme honor to talk about this. So, last year, on one of the various sojourns of Minister Duggins to Nigeria, he met Steve Gukes. I love Steve to pieces because he's an amazing, inspiring creative. And almost instantly, they hit it off. Steve was producing one of his 12 movies that got on Amazon last year and allowed us to watch behind the scenes the making of one of those movies. As Mr. Duggins is always, well, today he's a creative, but I call him an ardent farmer because somehow he takes ideas and he plants it in people's heads and they sprout huge Iroko trees as we're seeing today. The conversation led to talks about shooting a movie in St. Kitts and Nevis. And today we're signing the agreement that allows Steve Gukes and natives to actually shoot that movie in St. Kitts and Nevis in June 2026.
Go ahead. So, I think what caught my attention and indeed Mr. Duggins to me was just his openness and just excitement at the opportunity to just imbue himself in Africa, to understand what's happening. And I think we got talking about different kinds of projects that could be done. And we were in the process of developing a project called An African Love Story. Now, An African Love Story is a Nigerian South African story, but the culmination of that story happens in St. Kitts, where, if you like, it brings together the whole, for me, togetherness of all of the African community, if you like, in the ending of this wonderful story. And we discussed what these potentials could be and how it could be expanded. But even before that was a conversation about the slate of films that we were doing. We're doing a slate of 12 films, which in itself is was Native Filmworks' way of giving back to the industry. So we're training 12 first-time film directors to make their first films. And to make it at, most people would train filmmakers and get them to make short films. But we trained these filmmakers and got them to make full feature films made at very high level that can go to Amazon. So all 12 films were going to go to Amazon. And when I told him about it, he was like, how do we expand this to filmmakers in the Caribbean and filmmakers in the global Africa as a whole? So that birthed the initiative that is part of what we're signing today, which is about training filmmakers and bringing filmmakers together in global Africa to first identify stories that promote this oneness that we're talking about and grow them into projects and films that can then be made and distributed globally. So that's the culmination of a spark that begins as a talk about what can we do to a point where we are now going to be able to do a number of films that will tell the Afri-Caribbean story, that will tell the African-American Africa story, just stories of Africans and people from African descent anywhere in the world. The calls will come out soon, and that follows into the training and then the mentorship and then the final production of the film. So you'll be hearing a lot more about this over a period of time, but I'd like to have Mr. Douglas say more about it.
Thank you. I would love to say thank you to first Aisha Meno for the introduction and introducing me to Steve, but also to Steve for allowing me to see behind the scenes of the productions that he was doing at the time, but also to give me the insight into the back end of how those productions were being developed. But as someone from St. Kitts and Nevis, one loving the creative sector, but also recognizing the challenges and opportunities within the region, it inspired me just talking with him about what could be done for global Africa, especially through the eyes of us in the Western Hemisphere, the Caribbean and the Americas. And I thought this would be a great opportunity, not just for St. Kitts and Nevis, but for the region. And I thought, if we can develop 12 films across the region that looks at global Africa from our perspective, and our perspective is not just insular to each island, but our perspective as a Caribbean region or the Western Hemisphere on a whole, looking at all the different cultures that exist. Because there are nuances between St. Kitts and Nevis and, say, Grenada or Dominica and Anguilla, and we are just minutes apart. And those nuances we want to inject into these films and make sure that we see global Africa for what it truly is today. The evolution of what happened from centuries ago to now, and how that evolution has taken place in its own unique spaces. And today we are here signing on that agreement to showcase global Africa and who we are through all eyes and senses and across the world. Thank you again, Steve. Thank you, Aisha.
Andy.
This is quite symbolic, and this will also change the narrative about what's been going on, and this actually is going to be a catalyst for more bonding and more collaborative efforts between the Caribbean and Africans. Please, can we give them a round of applause one more time? Let me also have the very privilege of introducing and recognizing the Director General Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, Miss Aisha Aogi. I'd like that we welcome her with a resounding applause as well, please. This signing is being done on behalf of the government and very great people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And on the other hand, the Aquarian consuls, the conveners of this very laudable program, signing on behalf of Nigeria and Africa, indeed. Please, I think this should elucidate another round of applause for them if your hands are not very busy. Thank you very much. After signing, we'll take pictures. We'll take pictures and have a handshake. That will signify handshake across borders and across the Atlantic. Already my colleagues have done justice to recognizing Her Regal Majesty, Ambassador Dr. Temitope Enitungunsi, Olori of Ife. We also recognize our mentor in this industry who has transformed to the executive arm of government in the Federal Capital Territory, a pioneer, Mandate Secretary Women Affairs, Honorable Dr. Dayo Benjamin Lani. We appreciate you, as well as the Director General, Center for Black African Civilization, one of us, broadcaster, photographer per excellence, and she does so much more. And of course, she's also a philanthropist, Miss Aisha Ogi. We welcome all of you. Please, can you give all of them a round of applause? Let's have this picture now, as we also exchange hands of pleasantry at this side. Thank you, and thank you very much indeed. Would you like to stand in front of a table? We need to have this right in front of a table first. That's bold enough for us, and for our archives as well. I think we can have Aisha in the middle and sandwiched between the two men on that side. Yes, I do. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, one more round of applause for them. As they leave the stage, thank you very much. Thank you. As they leave the stage, we're going to be setting the stage now for another very meaningful conversation. This conversation is going to revolve around the art of the deal, building realistic metrics for investing in Afro-Caribbean economy. To take us through this, some seasoned discussants and gurus in the creative industry. First, I'd like to invite a moderator to take her seat on the side of the divide. I have the very great privilege of inviting Miss Adora Chikeezema. So please join us on this side. If Adora is here, please, we'd like that you please join us here. Please, can we welcome her with a very resounding applause as she makes her way to the podium. To escalate this conversation, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the Managing Director and Head of Music, Working Capital Partners, Mr. Darian Dash. Can we please welcome him as well? He has flown all the way to join us for this very important conversation. We do not take your presence here for granted. Please, another resounding applause. And then his name actually needs no introduction for those of us who are broadcasters. Okay. All right, so we're bringing on Audu Makori. Okay. And then, of course, the representative, if they're here, LA Raid. They're not. Okay. Okay, fine. So I think I'll have both of you sit close to each other so we can carry on this conversation. Looks like we just have two of you at this moment. So the moderator on one side, and then you'll be contributing. And so you take all the questions for us. And as you do so, may God bless you. May God prosper the industry. Please a round of applause for one department.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. All right, Africa and the Caribbean. This is a global or a regional corridor filled with a lot of cultural representation, filled with a lot of vibrancy, filled with a lot of growing artists. Now, the conversations will be how to enter these deals, make the most of them, what investors should be looking out for, and what to expect when they make their investments, putting money, and how long before they can, get their monies back, return on investment, and all of that.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. I think it's important to start with numbers, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to know a little bit more about what I do. A lot of times people hear music and they think artistry, which obviously is the gas that runs the car. But what they don't talk about enough is the other word that you described is business. The music business is often separated and totally apart from artistry, and has become that more and more as the business has evolved. And I think people haven't been able to bridge and figure out how these two things fuse together. And so my goal today is to try to reflect what the business aspect is of music and give you a little sense of my experience in doing that. I've been very fortunate in my career to be around amazing creators. And, I've been truly blessed to be supportive and have my strengths. I'm not creative from a writer's type of way or musical type of way, but my strength has been strategy and finance. And as an investor in the business today, I started as an entrepreneur and evolved to becoming an investor. Entrepreneurially, we started a business called Dash Entertainment in the late 80s, early 90s. And that business quickly evolved into a record company called Rockefeller Records. And our franchise artist is an artist by the name of Jay-Z. And that business grew very quickly and almost outpaced us. And from there, it evolved into today's sports. It evolved into apparel. We had a business called Rockaware. And all of those businesses combined, we have exited over time for hundreds of millions of dollars. And pulling myself back into the business in 2019, or being pulled back into the business in 2019, I came with a different lens, not as entrepreneur, but as advisor, as CFO, and head of corporate strategy for a company called Quality Control. Quality Control is a business that had a group called the Migos. I'm sure some of you have heard of the Migos. Parts of that one was locked in. So what had happened to music? It took off. And during that moment, there was also something called streaming. So streaming and everybody being at home really showed that music is durational. It's pandemic proof. It's recession proof. During hard times, what do? We go to music. And so therefore, it's a long tail asset. Streaming has now brought music back into its second stage. Why do I say that? Today, I have 5 children. My 15-year-old daughter, in fact,
identity. Because what's most important is knowing who you are. Then knowing who you are and being proud of who you are. The celebrities that we had on this panel, there's one thing that everyone should take home is appreciating your values. Understanding that there is no such thing as somebody else like you. It's just you, and there can never be anyone else like you. So celebrate yourselves this afternoon. You will please permit me to stand on all existing protocol, but I must acknowledge the very brain box behind this priceless event. It is priceless because wisdom, you cannot buy it. You can't leave here after this event and you want to remain the same. Hell no, you can't. So please celebrate with me Miss Aisha Maina. Aisha, you are such a woman that is so distinguished. A woman who truly knows her onions. And she's focused at it. And you are achieving great results. Women, we are exceptional beings. Celebrate her one more time. And of course, I will also acknowledge the Honorable Co-Chairman, Honorable Samuel Doggins. I celebrate you. Thank you so much for making this a reality. And my very own sister, my dear friend, a woman who has a very meek and gentle spirit, the DG of African Arts and Civilization, my darling sister Aisha. God bless you. I'm so happy to see you today. So please permit you. Of course, I can see royalty. I salute you. God bless you. And thank you all for being here. So to all the excellencies, the distinguished leaders, the esteemed delegates, and great minds gathered here today, I say you all are welcome once again. I'm indeed deeply honored to stand before you at the Aquarian Consult African Caribbean Investment Summit 2026. A platform that speaks so powerfully to our shared history, our collective identity, and the boundless opportunities of a united future. The theme, one voice, one vision, advancing African Caribbean unity. And this isn't just a statement, it is a call. A call to remember where you're from, to recognize the strength in a shared heritage, and to intentionally build bridges that will carry generations even yet unborn. Africa and Caribbean, and the bond that makes them so geographic. We're connected by our history, resilience, culture, and unbreakable spirit. Our music, our language, our traditions, and our values all echo a common origin. And today, we're not just reflecting on that connection. We're not. Today, we all need to understand this. That it's not just about the reflection. It's not just about trying to reconnect. No. We're redefining it for economic growth, cultural exchange, and sustainable development. And as we focus on our culture, the creative economy, and traditional governance, we must understand that these are not just sectors. They are powerful tools for transformation. Culture. And that is our identity. The creative economy, that is our opportunity. Traditional governance is our foundation. We must begin to see culture not just as our heritage, but as our capital, our arts, our fashion, our storytelling, our music, and crafts These are global assets capable of creating wealth for us, empowering our youth, and positioning our region as leaders in innovation and creativity. And at the same time, traditional institutions must also continue to evolve around the pillars of wisdom, unity, and community development. At this point, I would like to really celebrate this great king, a king who is so unique, a king who understands that being a king is for humanity, a king who goes far and near everywhere in the world, touching lives and changing the narrative. His Imperial Majesty, the great Oni Adeyeye Babatunde Enitan Ogunwusi, the Ojaja the second, the great Oni of Ife. Kabiesi, thank you very much for changing the narrative. Thank you. And you have given someone like me this great platform to thrive. True leadership, especially for those positions in influence, affluence, it is anchored in humility. Please let us take this very, very important. If you are in the place of leadership, if you are in a place of authority, one key ingredient that will sustain you in that office to be productive is humility. Humility allows you to thrive. It allows you to listen to people, to learn, to serve with all sincerity. It also reminds you also that authority is not about dominance, but it is responsibility to humanity. That is very, very important. This is also why we're gathered here today. Like this summit, as important as it is, it creates space where ideas meet action, where partnerships are formed, and where vision becomes reality. And as we move forward, let us commit to collaboration over competition. That is one great force that keeps pulling us behind. We see ourselves as competitors instead of seeing ourselves as collaborators. One will chase 1,000, 10,000. That mathematics is a bit difficult to put together. Now imagine different diverse African continents coming together, the Caribbeans, all coming together, having the same mindset, the same voice, the same goal. Can you overemphasize the results, the testimonies that it will be birthed? Please, let us go on with this mindset today that we are not competitors. We are the same. We have the same mind. We have the same vision. And we want to achieve the same goal. Together, with one voice, one vision, we can build a legacy of prosperity, dignity, and global relevance for Africa and the Caribbean. And as we all rise this afternoon, let it not be said that we merely spoke. You know, it's so sickening that we just love to come together most times, have this kind of summit to talk. But please, let it not be said, I would take that again, that we merely spoke. Let it be seen that we acted. It is time for us to start walking all the talks. Let it be seen that we're acting. Let the history remember this moment, that at this point where Africa and the Caribbean stood, not apart, but together. Not in echo, but in one resounding voice. And may our unity today, let it be, and we pray that it becomes the legacy that transforms tomorrow. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you all. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
She's regal, she's royal. Ladies and gentlemen, please can we make that applause a bit louder than that for her? As a woman that is very passionate about having things done right and unity. She's spoken with a voice of strength. She's spoken to the voice of unity, a voice of purpose. And she's also charged you here with a renewed commitment to build, to bridge, and to become all that destiny has called all of you to be. And to your unity, she's also charged that it should become the legacy that transforms our tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, Olori Ogunwusi, the wife of Oni of Ife. Please, can we celebrate her one more time? Thank you so very much. I've been asked to announce that a tea break is now, and I think we should do that because we've actually taken a few minutes to be able to treat a few other panel conversations that we were meant to have. And whilst that was one of our panelists actually who flew in from the United Kingdom just this morning came in. I would like to just welcome you. Out of my career award-winning. One of our very best for literary works has won so many awards from the British Broadcasting Corporation and a host of others. Please let's celebrate him. Thank you very much for joining us here for the summit. Please welcome Audu Mekori with a round of applause with me, please. So tea break is now. Bon appetit. And I'm told that we're going to be moving back to the foyer, and then we'll reconvene afterwards.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, while we're going for the tea break, we're going to have a creative showcase at the Arts Pavilion, the Afri Caribbean Cultural Center. You'd be directed, I think that's where our tags were gotten. That's where the cultural showcase would happen and then would converge back into the hall. We do hope you're enjoying the program. More to come. Thank you. We're going to go for our tea break and then head over to the Afri Caribbean Cultural Center. That's where the Art Pavilion is for the creative showcase. Thank you. Our ushers will direct you to where the Afri Caribbean Cultural Center is for the Arts Creative Showcase. I see a lot of us are still seated. I love that we're comfortable, but we have to go for the tea break and then the cultural showcase. Thank you.